Retail demand has fallen 5% over the past 30 days, hitting its lowest level since July. So retail is actually not there right now at the levels we would expect it to, but I think that is subject to change as we are going into quarter four. Today's the last day of the month of September. Crazy to think about that, we're already so far into the year. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that. But welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to my XRP family. We got a lot to talk about, so buckle in and watch this video till the absolute end. So as we are going into Tuesday morning, again September 30th, last day of the month, we are starting to see the market kind of trickling towards the downside once again. Bitcoin saw a retracement over the course of the last few hours, which dragged the broader market down with it. Again, not a big surprise to any one of us. But if you're looking at XRP's price right now, XRP is currently sitting at $2.85, down about 0.6% in USD, down 1.5% in Bitcoin comparative. The valuation sitting at 171 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 4.7 billion. As always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. We're going to start off with the ETF numbers. So, ETF flows around 518 million worth of Bitcoin, and about a 550 million worth of Ethereum were bought. Wow. So Ethereum inflows out here outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum. Are we about to see round two really kicking in? Let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are on that. But let's take a look at this chart right here. Bull run continues in quarter four. Quinton says historical Q4 incoming. And again, we're talking about the previous bull markets. But at the same time, there's a lot of people out in the market now saying that, the 4-year cycle is over. But I can argue that I think a 4-year cycle might be over for projects that have the institutional demand factor, that have that clarity behind themselves, that have that institutional adoption. But a majority of the crypto space is still going to be impacted with that bear market. And you can see this for yourself. 2017, we saw a major parabolic run. Shout out to the people that have been here since then. That was something to, witness. Honestly, that was something complete madness. Good times. Feels like yesterday. And I'm sure anyone that has been there, here since then, you cannot replicate what happened then. It's just, I've never witnessed anything what I witnessed. But of course, we need to keep in mind, like, the valuation for the broader market back then was peanuts. Like, literally, it's nothing. 2021 was crazy too. Don't get me wrong. 2021, obviously, a lot of meme coins this time around started going crazy. What's another project that went crazy? Polygon, Matic was a big one from the last cycle. There were a lot of big runners, but, again, now a lot of people projecting that, we do enter the bull market, parabolic cycle for 2025. We'll see what happens. Obviously, time is going to tell. There's going to be a very, very important thing to be looking out for, because are we going to see all the altcoins performing, or are we shifting in terms of, the market momentum? Are we not going to see the entire market follow? We'll see. I personally think, what we saw happen, late last year, I think, again, everything went up. Literally everything at that point went up. And I think, this time around, we'll see, the broader market feeling the love, especially altcoins. But again, that's my own personal opinion. Only time is going to tell as to what really happens. But I have high hopes, and it's always good to be hopeful, right? But let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are. But let's take a look at this. The SEC government has asked issuers of Litecoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, and Doge ETFs to withdraw their 19B filings following the approval of the generic listing standards, which replaced the need for those filings. I'm told withdrawals could start happening as soon as this week. This is huge. A lot of people have different opinions on that, and take a look at what Eric says. Honestly, the odds are really 100% now. Generic listing standards make the 19B-4s as their clock meaningless. That just leaves the S-1s waiting for the formal green light from Corp Finance, and they just submitted the amendment, for Solana. The baby could come any day. Be ready. So, pretty much people saying imminent. Obviously, in terms of timeline, there's a lot of, timeline for October. And I think that could be very exciting to see. And look what Eleanor says, more context for those asking whether the withdrawal is a bad thing. The short answer is no. The long answer, when the SEC government approved the generic listing standards 2 weeks ago, it eliminated the need for the exchange to file 19B-4 forms to list individual token ETFs, simplifying, pretty much the entire process. Look what Vincent says, good news for XRP and other crypto ETFs. Other than that, an initial buying frenzy, I remain skeptical that the ETFs will create real demand-driven price appreciation. I totally agree with that. Not every ETF is going to do what Bitcoin has done, and learn from Ethereum. That's a perfect example, to be looking at for. Ethereum had the slowest start, barely any inflows. But look what happened. 2025, the last, couple months have been insane, where we actually saw outflows. Not outflows, inflows outweighing, Bitcoin, inflows, which again is something, we need to keep in mind. It just depends on the demand factor. And I do believe some of these assets will get that demand factor, especially if you start to see them being adopted more and more. And, as TradeFi and DeFi, start linking together and more institutions and, banks start offering crypto to their clientele, I think this is where that, triggering effect is really going to take place. But nonetheless, great stuff. Of course, take a look at what Nate Garza says, New York Stock Exchange. The world's largest stock exchange just met with SEC Crypto Task Force. The topic, you guessed it, tokenized equities. I know you're paying attention now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Tokenized equities. Do you get what this means? No more waiting for the stock market bell to go on. Again, if you tokenize equities, the beauty of that is you can trade and this pretty much opens the door for worldwide, people to come on board and take part of these equities. So big stuff nonetheless. And remember, XRP Ledger, again, obviously that doesn't mean they're not going to be using XRP Ledger, but it's that one-stop shop. So we'll see what happens. But take a look at what chat says, ready for Cointober XRP, of course, in terms of the deadlines for SEC's decision, it is aligning to be, October for not just XRP, Litecoin, and Sol as well. But take a look at what Paul Atkins says. Paul Atkins declares today a turning point in the history of American financial markets at the SEC-CFTC Joint Roundtable on Regulatory Harmonization. For too long, the SEC and the CFTC have operated in parallel lanes, too often in conflict with each other. We are charting a new course. Amazing to see, and so much has happened. 2025 is going to go into the history books. People overlook that. People take a look more on what the coin is doing, but it's going to go in the history books. What we have seen happen in such a short span of time is astonishing, and you got to give credit where it belongs. As far as the dominance is concerned, 58.9%. BTC, on the other hand, considering at 112,900 right now. As I stated in my other updates today, we are going to see a lot of volatility today because, of course, the monthly candle close is going to happen today. So we'll see what happens. Bitcoin, I wanted to push back above the confirmation zone at 115. We still have a lot of time. We'll see what happens, but do expect some volatility. As far as XRP's price is concerned, we were obviously sitting at the 23.6. We came very close to our confirmation zone at $3. Not exactly, but we did get back into the 23.6, but right now we're finding ourselves back below it, and that is due to, of course, what's happening with Bitcoin. But so far, so good. I like what the way XRP is holding, grand scheme of things. People have already forgotten, where the price of XRP was back at the beginning of July, and if you just measure it from July level itself, July 9th, once we entered the 38.2, the price is still up 22% for the third largest asset in the crypto space. Like what I'm seeing here, we got to be patient. We got to take it one step at a time. Let me know in the comments what you guys personally think. Love you all. See you later. Been Crypto ZX, and peace out.